priorities. So when you are an administrator, it helps you to know that, oh, this is the area that we want to pursue. This is what we want to prioritize. Just like in economics, you see scale of preference. You arrange your needs in order of importance. An administrator, it will help you to know that, oh, these are the things we should do first. You arrange them in order. So that is the job of administration. Administration has an excessive impact on strategies selected and utilized to reach predetermined objectives. So they come up with different patterns, different strategies, different way of which they think that the thing can yield results. And all the purpose of all these things is a way of which they can yield results to help them achieve the objective of the organization. Another important role of an administration is that it helps to determine a large measure organizational climate in working relationship. So that's where in some organizations you see some you said administration helps us to determine measures organizational climate in working relationship. So working relationship to ensure that there is peace among staff. There's no conflict, and when there's conflict, they try their best in ways that they can work it out amicably without it escalating. Because in a surrounding where there's no peace, there's no much results that will be achieved. The important role of an administration is to help to make em- to make personnel employ more productive staff. It helps to make personnel employ more productive staff. So remember that employment is still under the Department of Administration, even if some other departments have says on it. So they are the ones to ensure that productive staff are being employed. And if along the line it's being discovered that the people employed are not able to carry out the work in the way that it should go. It's still the duty of the administration department to ensure that the person is being relieved of his or her job, and then more people that will be productive, that will move the organization forward, will now come in. Now, highlight those things all over again in just few minutes. What are the important roles of administration? It influences decision. It influences results to be achieved. It identifies direction to be achieved to pursue. This direction is arranging your things in order of importance. Which should we do first? Okay, government has released 100,000 naira, for example, or a 1 million, and then chairs are bad in the classroom, and then the kids no water, and then it's a boarding school. So you have to arrange which one should I do first. So should we go for the water first, or we should go for chairs first, or should we do okay instead of digging another borehole entirely? Should we just repair the one we have and then buy some chairs? So that is the job of the administration to do that. And then it is also the job of the administration to ensure that workers are having good working relationship by relating to everyone. Even when along the line we discover that a staff isn't looking so good, when we meet relationship manager, keeping relationship intact, you can still walk up to the person to ask, are you sure everything is okay with you? And then finally, number five, important role of an administration is it helps to make sure to ensure that the people employed are doing the right thing. It helps to ensure that the people employed are carrying out the task in the way that they should. But if along the line they are not, you can relieve them and get people that will be more productive. So the next one is still on unit one. The next one is talking about definition of educational management. The next one is talking about definition of educational management. So can someone, it's not something that we are not familiar with. Hence, I would like someone to define the educational management for us. Thank you.
All right, Juliet Victoria, thank you very much. I really thank you for.
Doctor, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you're in the class.
All right, thank you so much
Thank
for keeping the class very active.
Welcome
I
back.
really appreciate that. I seriously have a network challenge, but I finally resolved it. So thank you very much for the wonderful job that you have been doing. You see, that is one of the uniqueness of this class. Um, I have issue, but the class still remain active. So that is one beautiful thing about this unique class. Thank you very much for all that you have done.
You're welcome.
Yes, you are all welcome to EDA 855 class, which is responsibility and accountability in educational management. Although she has done well in explaining the nature of management, but let me just take a few minutes to give us a review of what she has explained. Then we proceed. You see, when you talk of responsibility and accountability in educational management, it's a very interesting topic, and it requires your understanding of this subject matter as an administrator. You really need it. So the whole module one, which is talking about educational management, is providing you with a foundational understanding of educational management by trying to explain the nature of educational management, the functions of educational management, the activities of educational management, and financial responsibilities. So it, at the end of the whole module, it tried to establish that effective educational system depend not merely on policy existence, but on competent management and accountability. Because with competent management, with competent accountability, then therefore that is when you will have an effective educational system. So the unit one is talking about the nature and functions of educational management. That is what the unit one is talking about. So when you talk of nature of management, management is a systematic process that involves this key element: planning, organizing, directing, coordinating, staffing. So when you have this element, so the systematic application of this element is what we call management. So therefore, you can understand that management is therefore both a science and an art. Being a science, it means it involves the application of principles and models, of management. When you look at it as an art, it's talking about skillful coordination of people and resources to achieve the objectives of an organization. So therefore, from this understanding, you will find out that you have two major perspectives about management. You have the scientific management and you have the behavioral management. When you talk of the scientific management, you are trying to talk of the quantitative aspect of management, which normally focuses on, the techniques, the efficiency about models. Then when you talk of the behavioral aspect of the management, you are talking about the qualitative, which focuses of human relationship, and organizational behavior. And this is central to what this unit is trying to discuss, because the interest in this unit is about behavioral or qualitative management, where the focus is about, human relationship and the organizational behavior. So therefore, the whole module will be talking about behavioral management as central to educational institutions, because as educational institutions, you always emphasize on behavioral management, the relationship. How can you combine, the resources you have, both human and material resources, to achieve the objectives of that organization? So let's try to differentiate because we have two concepts that are being interchanged. That is the management and administration. You see, these two concepts, they may look similar, but conceptually, they are different. They are distinct conceptually. So when we talk of management, it focuses on, executing a process to achieve a goal. When you execute the processes and achieve a goal. So what you have been doing, you are trying to provide management. For instance, if you now execute planning, if you execute organizing, controlling, staffing, and at the end of it, you achieve the objective of an organization. So we'll say that you are a good manager because you execute the process of coordinating, you execute the process of planning, you execute the process of staffing, and at the end of the day, you are able to achieve the objective being set for that organization. But when you talk of the administration is talking about influences decisions. How you decide, how you make policies in an organization, the organizational direction, how you plan it, how you set the environment, how you set priorities, in an organization is what we call administration. So the policies you design, the policies you invent for educational programs, then also the policy direction of an organization, the environment you've provided, the priorities you set in an organization is the administrative work. So that is when you are talking of administration, you are trying to shape the organizational strategies, you are trying to shape the work, the working environment, you are trying to shape the personnel productivity and institutional outcome. So you see, when you are talking of management, is the execution of the process. When you are talking of administration, you are trying to formulate policies, to shape policies, to prepare the ground, to give a very good environment that is conducive for your personnel to achieve the goals of an organization is the administrative, work you are given. So in practice, educational institutions require both. They require management and it also require administration. Therefore, you have to combine the two in order for you to give a good, and sound educational system. So let's quickly move to educational management. What is educational management? I think that's the point where she stopped. So when you talk of educational management, if you look at the explanation previously given, I'm sure by now you'll be able to define what educational management is. So there are various definitions of educational management. Various scholars have given their own perception about what educational management is all about. But generally, if we are talking of educational management, is the systematic coordination of human and material resources to achieve educational objectives through effective, teaching and learning. So when you have a systematic coordination of human and material Sorry, I'm back. Today you just have to bear with me. I have a serious challenge with the network. So what I'm trying to say is that when you are talking of educational management, you're talking about the systematic coordination of human and material resources to achieve educational objectives or educational goals through effective teaching and learning. So this coordination involves the application of management principles to education, the policy formulation and implementation. Then it also involves resource allocation, then accountability for the result, trying to combine this and come out with a sound result that achieve the goals that have been set for an organization. That is what we call uh, educational management. But you can see various definitions from the materials. But in summary, that is all the definitions. This is what they are focusing on. They are focusing on systematic coordination of human and material resources to achieve educational objectives. So a critical issue highlighted within this definition is all about coordinating the resources, coordinating the materials you have on ground to ensure that you have achieved an educational objectives is what is simply mean by educational management. So let's quickly look at issues. What are the issues in educational management? The issues in educational management uh, is one, inadequate funding. This is very clear. If you look at our budget in this country regarding education, is a clear testimony that we have issues with funding, because even the requirements for the budgetary requirement for education is not being achieved up till now. So you see, the country is always battling with inadequate funding, particularly in the educational sector. And that poses a major challenge, an issue in educational management. Then we also have inefficient resource utilization. This is also very clear. I don't need to dwell much on that. Then the leadership deficiencies, then shortage of professionally trained personnel. When you go to our secondary schools, you see that most of the teachers, they are not subject, specialists. They are just teaching. You will find out that somebody with uh, qualification in physics will be teaching everything, will be teaching mathematics, will be teaching chemistry, will be teaching. So these are all shortage of professionally trained personnel is one of the challenges in educational management. Then we also have a weak accountability system. This one is very clear. I don't need to emphasize much on that. So the unit is about this concept that we have discussed. So I think that is that about unit one. Let me quickly open the floor for discussion on this before we move to unit two, which is functions of educational management. So the floor is open. Let's have your contribution, your comment regarding the unit. So the floor is open. We will just discuss it maybe for 2 minutes. Then we will proceed to the next unit, which is function of educational management. So the floor is open for comment, contribution, question, before we quickly move to the next unit. Yes, the floor is open, please. Yes, any comment, contribution? All right, can we quickly move to the next unit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. So the second unit is about functions of educational management. What are the functions of educational management? Educational management perform core functions, and they are well explained in the material. One is about policy making and program planning. Strategies of educational system. So it's one of the function. Then the second one is procurement and development of personnel. This is another very key and core area. This is another very key area. Wow, my network again. Okay. All right. So this is another key area. When you talk of recruitment, it's about uh, you know finding recruiting personnel. That is the typing. It is one of the core functions of educational management to recruit staff that will now handle the activities of an educational system. And this is a core function of educational management. Then also, there is need for, after you recruit this staff, you provide training for them. You give them the required skills for them to achieve the objectives of the organization. So it's another core function of educational management. You provide the training, that's staff development, then you also provide all the necessary ingredients that will make the staff of an institution, to achieve the objectives set by that organization. So the training, the recruitment, and staff development is part of the core function of educational management. Then another one is curriculum development. That is another very important, area or function of educational management. So selection of subjects, selection of textbooks, the teaching method. Bear with me, please. The network is terrible.
No problem, sir.
So I was discussing the function of, yes, I was discussing the function of educational management. I talk about the curriculum development, which involve the selection of subjects, selection of textbooks, the teaching methods, the instructional materials, the evaluation techniques. These are all core functions of educational management. Then the next one is student administration. Giving admission to students, placement of students, giving them orientation, instilling discipline in them, guiding them and counseling them on the courses to take, extracurricular activities. These are all part of the student administration, which are core functions, of educational management. The student welfare services, they are all part of the functions of student a function of educational management under student administration. So as a manager, you need to provide such a function in a school. You give admissions to students, then you place them on the classes they deserve. You give them orientation on how to go about the studies. Then you also provide a way that you can instill discipline into these students, because at the end of the day, you are not giving them only certificate, but you also give them, discipline, so that they will be a role models wherever they found themselves. Then another core function of educational management is management of fund and facilities. There is no way you can, run a school without funds, without facilities. So as a manager, you is part of your I'm back again. I'm back again.
Welcome
So the
back.
final one, the final one is maintenance of external relationship. School or any educational institution does not exist in isolation. So therefore, you must create your function as a manager to create effective interaction with, the external environment, the regulatory bodies, the community where the school, is hosted, then the examination bodies, the government institutions, the, all these external bodies. You have to create a relationship with them, so that by doing that, then the school will now have that benefit from these external organizations and institutions. Because school, is being recognized as an open system. It's an open social system, and it is always there to serve the community where it is being established. A school is being established to serve a community, and therefore you must maintain that cordial relationship, cordial, understanding between the bodies that are around the institution. So these 6 functions, they are core, in the aspect of educational management. So I think I have done justice to these functions of educational management. So let me just quickly open the floor for further comment, contribution, questions on this before we finally move to Unit 3. So the floor is open for discussion, comment, contribution. Yes. You can just unmute yourself and give your comment, give your contribution, or ask question. Okay, can we move to, because I did not see any hand, so it means
The reason is that we are really enjoying the lecture, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank
Let's
you very
move
much.
on.
So let's quickly move to the uh is it final unit?
Unit 2.
Okay, unit 2 now. All right, let's move to unit 2. That's activities of educational management. What are the activities? That is, when we talk of the activities of educational management, we are trying to talk about the administrative process. Educational management operates through 6 independent activities. And we have already explained, okay, we have not explained it fully, but we introduced this element in the definition of educational management. So the activities involved in educational management involve these 6 administrative processes. And what are they? They are: 1, planning; 2, organizing; directing; coordinating; staffing; and controlling. So these are the key activities of educational management. When you talk of planning, these are all self-explanatory in the material, so I'm going to just explain them very briefly. So when you talk of planning, we are trying to talk about the forward thinking, to prevent crisis. So if you are focused and you can think ahead, then definitely you must involve planning in all the decisions you have to take. You must plan them. So you cannot just come up with a decision without making a proper plan. So planning is one of the core activity. So you need to have a forward thinking so that you can prevent the issues that may arise. Before you take any action, before you make any action in the educational setting, you must plan that action. You must plan it properly. Because if you do that, it will enhance your efficiency. But if you fail to plan, then certainly you must have crisis and you can never be efficient. So planning is one of the core activity of educational management. Then the next one is organizing. That is trying to structure the tasks. If you are to conduct any task in an educational system, you need to, organize it, structure the task, then give responsibilities so that at the end of the day, you will achieve the institutional objectives. So when you have a function to perform, first of all, structure it. Put the tasks under the activities. Then who will be responsible, for conducting this particular task? Who will be responsible for conducting the other tasks? So when you harmonize these tasks together, and you have the people responsible, of each of the tasks, then at the end of the day, you will have, uh, a complete process which can achieve the objective you have designed, originally. So therefore, organizing is very, very important, and it's just about structuring the tasks, then make people to be responsible on each task you assign to them. So the next one is directing. When we talk of directing, it's about supervising. If you give tasks, supervise it. If you give tasks, monitor it. Then apart from supervising and monitoring, you also need to motivate the staff that you give them the task. You give a staff a task. After supervising him, then motivate him. Then if you motivate him, then you guide him. So when you do that, you will see that you will achieve, the objective being set or the task you assign to that particular staff. So directing is about supervising, is about motivating and guiding that staff to achieve the objectives that you have set for him as his manager. So that is what directing is talking about. Then the next one is coordinating. Coordinating is about harmonizing the various units, the various departments, the various individuals, the various effort of each and everyone in the organization, to achieve the final goal of the organization. Because if you harmonize the department, if you harmonize the individuals that you assign duties to them, then certainly you will avoid duplication, you will avoid wastage, in the whole process of discharging the responsibility. So coordination is about harmonizing, this department and individuals, to bring them into one single position so that you can avoid duplication of, activities. So that is what coordinating is all about. Then the next one is staffing. We just finished discussing what staffing is all about. It's about the recruitment, about training, about forecasting on personnel needs, motivating, providing the needs for the personnel, then ensuring that the environment where these staff are working is conducive for them. Then finally, you provide all the equipment, that will help the individuals to achieve the tasks given to them. Then you also complement these individuals with motivation. So that will give you a competent, manpower. When you do that, at the end of the day, you will have a competent manpower that will assist you in achieving the objectives being set for organization. So it's part of the functions of a manager to do the recruitment, to provide the necessary equipment, to ensure that there is a competent manpower in that system where he is managing. Then the final one is controlling. Controlling is about evaluation of outcome. It's about monitoring performance. It's about correcting errors and deviations. It's about ensuring alignment with the objectives. That is what controlling is about. You give your staff a task. If you observe that he is trying to deviate from, the original task given to him, you are there to control him, put him, on the right way. Then evaluate, monitor his progress and evaluate his outcome so that when there are lapses, you will be able to correct these lapses and ensure that he aligns with the objectives being set under that task. So that is controlling. Controlling is about monitoring performance, it's about evaluating outcome, it's about correcting deviation, and it's about ensuring alignment with the objective being set, for the task given to the staff. So I think with these few explanation, I'm sure you now understand what the activities or administrative process is in educational management. So let me quickly open the floor for comments, contribution, and questions. The floor is open. Yes, if you have any observation, question. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
My name is EDA. Two things, sir. I want to first appreciate your presentation. We really enjoyed it on behalf of the class. My question goes like this, sir. You made mention of motivation.
Yes.
There are times you give definition and there will be deviation. I don't know what role does motivation play in that aspect.
Okay, you now give a task.
Yes.
And there is deviation on that task.
Yes. Yes.
And you want to know what role can the motivation play?
Yes.
In order to correct that deviation.
Exactly, sir.
That is excellent. You see, if you want a staff to dance to your tune, definitely you must have his heart. And if you are to have the heart of a staff, there must be motivation. Motivation in the sense that you appreciate the good effort he has put, in the task given to him. When you give a staff a task and he has tried his best in doing it, whether there is deviation or not, first of all, appreciate what he has done. Then after appreciating it, then politely, try to take him back to the area where he deviates. So you see, by appreciating him, you are now motivating him.
Okay, sir.
That is one aspect of it. So there are many ways you can motivate a staff, to put in his best when you assign a task to him. So motivation is very key, because if you want to win the heart of your staff, definitely there must be motivation, because that is when they will listen to you. That is when they will be submissive to you. But once there is no motivation, then definitely you will not have, the results you are expecting.
Second one, sir. Sorry, sir.
All right.
In a situation whereby you are the head of a department,
all right,
and you are motivating your staff,
okay,
in order for them to put in their best performance, but the entire management of the institutions are not encouraging that kind of motivation, what is likely to happen, sir?
Definitely you will never achieve what is expected in that organization.
Yes, sir.
You can never achieve it. You must have issues.
Right.
That is why you are being a manager. You see, that is the skill now you are trying to get in this course. You will find out that there is problem with that leadership. We previously discussed issues in educational management, and one of it is leadership. And you see, that is the problem. That is the issue. Such management have issues with their leadership because maybe they lack the basic skills, the basic training to be managers.
Okay, sir.
Yes, because if they are good managers, such an issue will not even come up. So you see, with this knowledge now, you will surely understand that those that are in the helm of affairs that are behaving in such way, it means they are not, good managers. So they need that training, they need that expertise for them to display such skills of a good manager. So my advice to you, if you're working under such category of people, you need to go very close to them. If you go close to them, there is a because at the motivate this even if they are to compare the performance of staff working under you and the general staff within the system, you will find out that your own will be peculiar. So if they fail to appreciate that, then you will be presenting the performance of your staff to the management, and they will be seeing it. You keep on doing what you have been doing at your own level, then you go close to them by showing them the output from your own department, and that may probably prompt their attention to inquire, what are you doing that makes your staff to be very unique in performance, to be very, because as a manager, whether you like it or not, I need my organization to perform wonderfully. So if I have a department that is performing, excellently, definitely it must attract my attention. And once it attracts my attention, I will be asked sometimes, what have you been doing that this your staff are? What have you been doing that you are getting this outcome? Because he may like all other departments to be like yours. So by doing that now, you will start to, tell him that this is your story, this is what you have been doing. And probably he may copy some of the ideas from your practice. to improve the overall management of that institution. Yes. So thank
Okay,
you very
sir.
much. Any further comments?
Yeah. The last but not the least, sir.
Okay.
Can I go ahead, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Some of this summary that you are giving us is fantastic. So I don't know
All
if it
right.
is possible for you to assist us in perhaps maybe the soft copy of some of this analysis you have given, the summary of it.
Okay. Anyway, that's the beauty of technology. This particular lecture is being recorded. So once you go to your course page, you will get the recorded version. So you can capture everything that is in this presentation from A to Z.
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sometimes I post it to the WhatsApp group, like the previous one is there in the WhatsApp group, the link
Okay.
and the password. So you can always go there and get the recorded version of
Thank you so
the
much.
whole presentation. Thank you so much. So let's quickly take the last part of the module for today, which is unit 3? Which is unit 3. We already discussed unit 1 and 2. So let's quickly discuss unit 3. Unit 3 is talking about the provisions and maintenance of funds and facilities by educational manager. We have just discussed that it's one of your core functions as a manager to maintain facilities, to maintain funds. So what are the provisions and maintenance of these funds and facilities in an educational institution? So provision and maintenance of funds and facilities in educational setting is very, very necessary, because there is no way you can run an institution without fund or without facilities. They are the backbone, they are the key, in achieving the objectives set in that organization. And you see, education is capital intensive industry. It requires, sustainable financing mechanism. Because when you talk of education, you are talking of a very big industry in the economy of every nation, because that is where you build the human capital development. It's one of the industry where it produces, human capital development. So therefore, it requires huge investment. So first of all, you need to get the sources, of funding, because that is the basics. Without the fund, there is no way you can execute any activity. So first of all, you need to identify the sources. What are the sources of financing education? So one of it is payee, that is pay as you earn. As a worker, whether you like it or not, you must pay tax, because these tax are being deducted directly from source. So this payee is one of the source of educational funding. Then we have tax that are being paid on property. We have tax that are being paid on rates, that is the utilities and services. Then we also have, educational levies. These are all sources of fund to finance education. Then the school fees, students are paying in an institution. They are all part of sources of finance. Then the educational endowment, donations, the commercial ventures. These are all sources that give fund to education. So if you go through the material, you can get the details of this. They are self-explanatory, the sources of financing education. So let's look at our school budget, because once you have the fund in your full, then you must budget for this fund. So what is budget? When you talk of a budget, what do you mean by a budget? So a budget is a financial plan outlining the expected income and expenditure within a specified period. That is what we simply mean by a budget. When you have your financial plan that outline the expected income that comes to you and the expenditure, that you can perform within a specified period, then you have your budget. So as a school manager, you must always have a budget once you have a fund. And this budget entails planning of the income. Okay, I may have income from school fees. How many thousands I'm expected to realize at the end of the term? You already have it on ground. You also, on the other side, you now have the line of expenditure you are expected to incur within the term. So once you plan that, then you have your budget. So budget is simply a financial plan outlining the expected income and expenditure within a specified period of time. Say maybe term, semester, So that is what budget is all about. So what are the key elements in this definition? So you see, one, you have the plan. That is the planning you have, the educational plan you have. Within that, how much will it cost you? So that is key element. Then another one is the expenditure plan. How much will I spend on it? Then the final one is the financial plan. So these are the key elements, in budgeting. We must talk about the plan, the educational plan you have. We must also talk about the expenditure plan you have, then the financial plan. So let's quickly move to importance of budgeting. Why do you budget in a school? Why do you make your budget in a school? So one of the importance of doing or preparing a budget is to project future programs. Maybe you want to, you have some programs that you are planning. So when you have a budget, that budget will now help you to look at these future programs that you intend, to provide, whether they will be possible or not, because you cannot engage into any program without financial backing, without financial, it must involve financial, expenditure. So therefore, by having your budget, you will be able to know these future plans, whether they will be executable or not. Then budget will also guide resource allocation. If you have maybe different units within your system, then if you have a budget, now it will guide you to plan how much are you going to allocate to this particular unit, how much are you going to allocate to this particular unit, how much will you allocate to the next unit. Then budget also promotes transparency, because when you have the budget on ground, then you know the total amount you have, you know the total amount you will expend, and you will also know the amount that will be remaining in your force. So it will help you to get transparency in whatever you will be doing. Then it's also part of the important of budget to serve as a control mechanism. Because when you have your budget, you already have everything, being planned. So therefore, that will help you to have a control in all your activities. Please, can you kindly mute yourself? Hello, Kayode, can you please mute yourself?
Madam
Kayode,
Oluwabunmi, mute yourself.
let me mute her. Kayode, you disturb the class. Let me mute her. I can remove you if I cannot. I can remove you from the class, please, if you disturb us again. So I'm talking about the importance of budgeting. When you have a budget, it will help you to have a control of your environment. So therefore, one of the importance of budget, it serves as a control mechanism. Then finally, it informs the stakeholders about your plans, about your preparations. Because when you have your budget, that will inform all the stakeholders within the educational system on your plans, on your of what you want to achieve. So without budgeting, then the financial management becomes arbitrary, and prone to misuse. So when you have not planned, then definitely there may be a tendency of misuse. There will be a tendency of abusing the whole, uh, system because you did not properly budget for the system. So I think that is that about the importance of budgeting. So let's quickly move to school accounting. Because as a manager, you must be knowledgeable about the school accounting. When we talk of school accounting, we are talking about the financial stewardship. So as an administrator, you must collect revenue, you must disburse funds appropriately, then you will also maintain accurate financial records. So these are all part of the school accounting: collecting revenue, disbursement of funds appropriately, then maintaining accurate financial records. It's all about school accounting. So what is the importance of school accounting? When you have school accounting properly, maintained, then you will be able to protect the public fund. You will be able to prevent misuse and corruption. You will also support evaluation of performance. You will provide legal and financial accountability, and you will also protect institutional reputation and integrity. So when you have the school accounting proper, you will be able to give all these important explanations as regards the school system. So budgeting without accounting will result to, financial disorder. So you must budget before you have that accountability. If you don't budget, you will not have any, accounting results. So therefore, always a budget must precede accounting. You must budget first before you properly account for any activity you plan for. So I think this is what the final unit is talking about. So with this explanation, I'm sure we talk about the conceptual foundation, which is the nature, meaning of educational management. Then we also look at the functions of educational management, that is the functional responsibilities, what educational managers must do. Then we also talk about the operational activities, how management is being carried out. Then we also talk about the financial accountability, that is how education is funded and controlled. So let me quickly open the floor for final discussion about the three units before we finally draw the curtain for the day. So the floor is open for comments, questions, and observation. The floor is open. Yes, the floor is open. You can unmute yourself, give your contribution, ask questions. Yes. The floor is open. You can ask your questions. Hello, are we together?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Well, sorry. In the course of the lectures,
Yes.
you mentioned something about curriculum development.
Yes. One of
with
the function of educational management.
yes, sir. As an educational management and the
Yes.
situation of things in the country by the development of curriculum for the secondary schools and the etc. So, how can one contribute to this? The curriculum development in the country presently.
Well, curriculum development is a process,
Yes.
and it has, a process of doing it, because it starts from the bottom to top. As a teacher, there is a role you play in curriculum development. Then, before it comes a policy document, it has to undergo various stages. In the ministry, you have the curriculum development unit. If you are serving in a state, that is in a state ministry of education, because that is where the final policy will come from. But from the grassroots, there are certain functions that are expected of you as a teacher. Assuming now you are the one, playing the major function at the grassroots. So you know the nature of your students, you know what they require. So if you have, some issues that you observe from the grassroots that will, help in the curriculum development, then you start it from that level. At the school level, you must have a curriculum committee. So you now take it to that curriculum committee at the school level. Then from the school level, it will move to the supervisory level. From there, if you're working under primary education, then it moves to LEA, from the LEA to SBEP, so it is a process, but at whatever level you are, there is a contribution you are expected to give, in the development of the curriculum. So at your own level, maybe you start it from the grassroots. Then at the top there in a Nigerian level, then it has to end at the Federal Ministry of Education. So I hope it's very clear.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So any further contribution?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right, sir. So my question is, like formerly before now, we were made to understand that managerial functions or functions of educational management are this planning, organizing, and controlling. But from this course unit now, I discovered that those ones fall under the activities of
Yeah.
educational management. Now,
Yeah.
how do we shade these two, sir? Because we now have functions of educational management and we now have the activities. Peradventure, you are asked, sir.
Well, when we talk of the activities, they are also part of the functions. They are also part of the functions, because when you are planning, look at the functions now that we have here. You will see that all of them, they are targeted, they are all within this they are all within these activities. They are all within these activities that are, when you talk of the policy making, as a function of educational management, you cannot have a policy making and program planning without planning. even from the function itself, you will see that the word is already there. Policy making and program planning. You know, when you talk of procurement and development of personnel, it's also talking about staff training, because when you talk of development of personnel, you are talking of training, you are talking of recruitment, you know, which is all part of the activities of educational management. Because if you're staffing, you must recruit, you must train, you must develop your staff professionally. So the same thing when you are talking of curriculum development. So you see they are all interrelated. But for the purpose of this course, when we are talking of the functions of educational management, we are talking of these 6 functions. That is why the whole of the management is about the process of planning, it's about the process of coordinating, controlling, and staffing. Because there is no way you can talk of anything that is related to management without mentioning these key elements: planning, controlling, staffing, and whatever. If you look at the whole of our discussion from the beginning to the end of this particular 3 units, we are all talking about these 6 key elements: the planning, the controlling, the staffing, and whatever. So for the purpose of this course, if you are being asked about functions of educational management, we are talking about the policy making and program planning, procurement and development. But when we are talking of activities or administrative process in management, then you talk about planning, coordinating, and the rest. I hope it's clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes. So any question? Any further question? So in summary, I will say that in these 3 units, we provide a foundational understanding of educational management by examining the nature of educational management, functions of educational management, activities of educational management, and financial responsibility. And we have also established that effective educational system depend not merely on educational policy, but on competent management and accountability of human and material resources within the educational system. So I'm sure if you are being asked to discuss the nature and function of educational management, I have no doubt that you will be able to do that. If you are being asked to discuss the functions of educational management, you will also be able to do that. And if you are being asked what are the activities or the administrative process of educational management, you will also be able to say 1 or 2 words about that. And finally, when you are being asked about the financial responsibilities in educational system, you will be able to talk about them. So thank you very much for being part of this class today. And I hope by next week, you will now start taking the full responsibility of the class. My own is just to be moderating. I hope the group that will be presenting next week are ready. And please, all of you should read the materials for the next week so that when we come, it will be easier for us to discuss it proper. So thank you very much once again, and I wish you all the best. Thank you and
Thank you very
goodbye.
much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are really enjoyed the lecture.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.